Hello ladies and gentlemen, Gapesty here. We're back with some more Hearthstone Arena action, and today we'll be playing Druid. Druid's a fun class, very popular right now in Constructed. A little bit more difficult in Arenas because you can't rely on the synergies that you can in Constructed, of course. But quick update on my stats before we begin the draft. I'm at 74.43% win rate with 2,538 games in Arena, and for Druid, I'm at 72.91% with 203 games. And as always, you can check out the spreadsheet in the links in the description. All right, so first up, we have a rare pick. All these are decent cards. I would say Bite is okay removal. It's 4 damage for 4 mana. And if you need 5 damage, you can use your hero power for 6 mana. So it's a little bit flexible. But overall, the damage to mana ratio is pretty weak compared to most direct damage spells. So just keep that in mind. And of course, you have to attack with your hero. Cobra is pretty good 3. Usually gets 1-for-1 trade. But it's difficult to get good value out of this. You have to play it mid-late game and try to somehow have it trade up. But we'll go Mind Control Tech. It's a great 3-drop. And if you can take a minion, it's really powerful. Alright. Mark of Nature is a buff I'm not a big fan of. Generally, I like buffs that increase both the health and the attack. In this case, it's just one or the other. So I usually shy away from this. Lord of the Arena is an okay late game taunt, but not great. A particular consideration is that I'm a Druid, and Druids tend to have pretty strong late game minions for the class cards, like Ironbark Protectors, and maybe some of the epics. So for that reason, I will go with the Raptor here. It's not a great 2-drop, but it's good enough, and I just need to get early game control. Alright, Deckhand's definitely the worst here. Really terrible unless you're a rogue, pretty much. That can always have a weapon. Ogre's a great late game neutral minion, but Swipe is the winner here. Swipe's kind of an auto pick card, and you can have too many, I guess, but generally speaking, the more you have, the better you'll do in arenas. Alright, Deckhand again. Silverhand Knight is solid 5-drop, 6/6 in total stats. Neither of them have 1 health. Really good. But Druid of the Claw is the winner. It's an auto pick card, similar to Swipe. Really flexible, really good stats. Most of the time you'll play it as a 4/6 taunt, but the ability to use it as a 4/4 charge is really nice. So it's a great card. Wow. Alright. It's debatable which is the worst of these. Oracle and Moonfire are both terrible, and you should never pick them. They're just awful. So I'll go Priestess of Elune. She's really weak as well, but not as bad as these. Okay. Debatably, none of these are the worst. They're just different. Stormpike is generally about a 1.5 for 1 on average, sometimes 2 for 1. He's an okay 5 card. Fen Creeper is also pretty good 5. A lot of health, so it takes a couple attacks to get through. But I will go Cult Master. It's the better of these cards, and I like to get 1 Cult Master if possible. Alright, some good choices here. Well, a couple of them. Arcane Golem's definitely pretty weak. 4 damage for 3 mana is not that great to justify giving your opponent a mana crystal throughout most of the early game. Starfall is okay single target removal or pretty efficient board clear. You get to choose. And then Sunwalker is just a great late game minion. So that's a tough choice. Normally, I would go with the board clear, but I think Sunwalker is going to be good enough for a 6 spot in my deck to pick up, since I already have 1 swipe, and maybe I'll get some more. Alright, Frostwolf Grunt's the weakest of these. Stats are just terrible. Soul of the Forest is okay, but you really need board control already to make use of it. So it doesn't really help you if you're even or behind in the game. You'll just have a dead card. So I'm going to go Loot Hoarder. It's a fine 2-drop, gets you your card back. Sometimes it can trade for 3-2. Okay, Patriarch is awful, never draft him. Wrath is a great nuke. It's just really efficient damage, and the opportunity to switch to either do 3 damage or 1 damage and draw a card is great. Stormwind is also a really good late game minion, but I'm going to go Wrath because I think having a couple of those in the deck really allows you to be much more flexible. Alright, well, epic pick here. Doomsayer's the worst of these by far. It's just too difficult for this guy to stay alive an entire turn to allow him to destroy stuff. In order for him to be valuable, you basically want him to kill 2 or more minions and allowing him to survive with 7 health that entire next round of your opponents is pretty difficult. Big Game Hunter's okay. He's great if you find the opportunity to use his battle cry, but often it's a dead card if you're just holding it until that happens. Because most of the time in arenas you won't face that many 7 attack or higher minions. So we're going to go Ancient of Lore for sure. This is an auto pick card. It's one of the most powerful Druid cards, really. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Because consider you get 2 extra cards. So for 7 mana you get a 5/5 and 2 extra cards. That's insane. Most of the time you play it that way. Rarely will you use the heal. But it's really powerful. Oh my god. Alright, well, another epic. So South Sea is the worst of these. Basically, you draft him if you don't have any other epic choices. You just want a 3/3 minion. Sea Giant is a great late game minion. The best of the giants in arenas. But again, Ancient of Lore is just too strong to pass up. So we'll pick him. Or it. I don't know. Can't tell. Footman is terrible. Never draft it. Argent Squire is okay, but tends to not be able to trade very well. But I don't like to get 2 Cult Masters usually, because having both of them in your hand is kind of weak. I think I go Squire over second Cult Master. There are a couple considerations for that. One is what we just drafted the 2 previous picks was 2 sources of card draw. So between that plus an existing Cult Master, we have quite a bit of card draw potential already. And I think this would be overkill. Argent Squire with Divine Shield generally takes 2 damage to a kill, minimum. Which is the same as a Cult Master, but she costs 3 less mana. So I think I'm going to go Squire. Alright. Bluegill's basically 2 damage for 2 mana. It's okay. Silverhand's great for 5s. But Ironbark is really powerful. Question is, can I afford it with 2 Ancient of Lores? I kind of think the answer is no, actually. Because these, when I play these on 7, I'm going to draw 2 cards. So I need to be able to rely on on casting those 2 cards in a reasonable time frame. And if I have cards that cost too much mana, that's going to be difficult to do. So I think Silverhand Knight is the winner here. I could use 5s and yada yada. Alright, well, Light Warden is out. Pretty weak card unless you're a priest. That's the best case scenario. Demolisher's okay on 3, but difficult unless you can protect it. So I will go Sunwalker here. Really shore up my late game. Mostly because I think Demolisher is too difficult to protect as a certain class. Okay, here we go. Farseer's the weakest here. It dies to mini 2-drops and also dies to a lot of 3-drops without killing them. Mechanic is okay, but still fairly weak because of the Dragon Lane having 1 health. Farseer is one of the best 3 neutrals, so we'll grab it. Alright, these 2 cards are terrible, never draft them. Fairy Dragon is great. We could use 2s. Easy pick. Okay. Well, It's debatable the worst of these. As a druid, for a weapon class, smith is quite good. But as a druid, we don't have any weapons, so this is basically a 4/6 for 5, which is okay. Silver Moon is kind of like a 3/6 or 3/5 minion since it has Divine Shield. So I think I'm going to have to go Silver Hand again. Well, although I don't have any 4-drops. Yeah, that changes the plan actually. Silver Moon just for the 4, even though this is a better card. Wow. These are some really bad cards. Rager's definitely the worst. 1 health just dies easily. Regulator's also very weak. Not enough stats. So I actually think I'm going to go Mark of Nature and try to play it like a 1-for-1. Most likely what that means is I have a minion on board, the opponent has a minion on board, and if they attack, they kill each other. I play Mark of Nature to give my dude 4 health and allow my guy to survive. And theoretically, then kill another thing. So it's 1-for-1 for the Mark of Nature. That's really hopeful, but these cards are just terrible. So. Alright, Angry Chicken is terrible. Never draft it. Sunwalker is great, but again, we have a lot of them. And Keeper of the Grove is amazing. A really powerful card. The ability to choose between the damage or the silence is awesome. And with the damage, he basically can do 4 damage. So he's kind of a 4/4 for 4. Yikes. Alright, some more weak picks. Mana Addict is terrible. Its buff is only temporary, so its stats are really shitty. Swordsmith is okay if you can protect it, but it's a mid-game card because on 2 it's terrible. Ancient of Mage is also pretty weak unless you really need spell damage. See, spells that use damage, we have 1 Wrath and 1 Swipe. It's not very much. I don't know, that's a tough pick between the Swordsmith and the Mage. Mage is consideration because it has 5 health around the 4 slot. So it might require 2 sources of damage and therefore be able to kill something. The Swordsmith doesn't allow that really. It would have to be on the board with something else. So I think I go Ancient Mage here. Alright, so here we have a couple somewhat underpowered mid-game drops. Bodyguard's the worst, 4 health is really low for 5 mana. Ancient Brewmaster is okay, but again 4 health is pretty low. Although he does cost only 4. But it's a lot easier to do 4 damage than it is 5, so this guy can die pretty easily. So I'm going to go Youthful Brewmaster over the Ancient. He's a really good 2-drop, cheap form of the Brewmaster Battlecry, and we could use 2s. We only have a couple of them. Alright, Voodoo Doctors, terrible card, should never pick it. Snapjaw's okay if you're desperate for something, just to choose up card. It has a lot of health, but its attack is pretty weak. So your best bet is, again, it takes a couple sources of damage to kill. Maybe in that time it can also kill something. But Senjin's the clear winner. Really good 4-drop, great source of taunt, all that good stuff. Alright, Shield Bearer is terrible, never draft it. Same with the Oracle, so we'll go Claw. Quite efficient card, 2 damage for 1 mana, or with your hero power, 3 damage for 3 mana. Okay, Leper Gnome is out. I'm not a fan of the 1 health minions. Rocketeer's pretty expensive damage, 5 damage for 6 mana. Druid of the Claw is a clear winner. We could use 5s. Ugh. Well, normally I would lean towards getting a 2, but both of these are terrible. So I'm going to have to go Guardian. Even though my 2s are, well, they're not awful. They're kind of sparse, but I do have a couple 1s. Guardian's clearly the best card there. Wow. All right, here we go, late game. So, let's really determine which of these is going to be best in the late game for me. I don't have any Iron Barks, but as I mentioned, I do have 2 Ancient of Lores, and Sunwalkers effectively act as Iron Barks since they kind of have somewhere around 8 to 10 health if you count the Divine Shield. They just don't do as much damage. So I think Champion actually is the best because I have beefy minions with the Sunwalker. Ancient of Lores are not bad, so that kind of takes the Ogre slot. Champion will support all my other minions. Okay. So Panther's the worst of these. It's an okay 3-drop, but usually it trades down unless you hold on to it in stealth until you're ready to attack. So between the Raptor and the Druid's definitely the better card. It's just a matter of whether I can afford to pick the 5 over the 2. See, on 2, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 drops. All of them are fine to play. I have a Wrath, so that acts as a 5th. A Claw acts as a 6th if the opponent plays a 3-2. My 3s are weak, however, but I have a lot of 4s. So I'm going to take the risk and go with the better card here. Alright, well, good thing I did that. So, Naturalize is interesting, but generally in Arena is the weakest card here. The problem is you lose such massive card advantage, and there generally isn't that many insanely powerful minions that you want to deal with. Whereas in Constructed, it's used on crazy legendaries like Ragnaros or something. But that doesn't really exist that much in arenas. So Smith again, but we'll go Fairy Dragon. Number 2, and we could use the 2s and all that good stuff. Alright, so some pretty weak cards here. Nightblade has terrible stats. Well, not terrible, but pretty under par. So I'm going to go Claw number 2 for pseudo removal. Wow. Last pick here. Bloodsail Corsair is weak. Never draft it. Between Impmaster and Sunwalker. Sunwalker is a better card, but Impmaster is a 3, and we could use some. So I'm going to go Impmaster. Alright, well, overall, this looks like a pretty solid deck. The real strength is basically our in-game is incredible. So we're going to have tons of potential cards. So this is probably going to be played a bit like a Constructed Druid, where we're playing very slow, methodically, trying to reach the in-game and just win by drawing out the opponent and having more cards in them. Because we have forward guaranteed draw from the lore. Should be another one from the Cult Master, ideally. One more from the Loot Hoarder. Yeah. Maybe one from the Wrath. It's pretty good. So, I think this deck is definitely above average. I would guess 8 or 9 wins. Could even go 12. It would really just depend what we face. But those dual Ancient of Lores are really strong.
Malfurion versus Uther. I will fight with honor. I must protect the wild.
Alright, game 1 against Paladin. It's not a bad hand. So, likely play is Loot Hoarder on 2, Impmaster on 3, and then we can always coin to Claw to protect it. Sure, I'll keep it. I could drop the Wrath. Try to get a 4.
Well met.
Well, there's a 4. So he'd be very unlikely to attack me with this.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah. I think I hero power this and then plan to Imp Master next turn. Unless he presents me something to Keeper. Like that. Or I can claw that. So many choices. Yeah, I think claw is better.
What to do?
Allows my Imp Master to get out, which is good against that.
For the wild.
He's going to be very patient with this. And unfortunately, the only way I have to get rid of it is my single swipe. Okay. So I can hero power that or send the 1/1 in. I think it's time to loot hoarder.
Mind if I roll need?
I don't want a fairy dragon as well because I'm afraid of consecrate. Although it's sort of risky for me not to do it. But all right. That's not bad for me. Imp Master already summoned 2 imps. Huh. Close to being able to mind control tech, but not quite. So I can use all of these to kill that.
I wonder.
I think it's time to go super greedy here. I'm gonna Wrath for 1.
Time waits for no one.
Hey, give me that!
Cult Master. Well, that sort of changes my play. I was going to send a 1/1 imp and play a 3, but I doubt he'll kill these, you know, with what he has, so I might be able to Cult Master and draw 2 next turn. Blessing of Kings! Bam, right in my face.
Reporting for duty.
Alright, well, I should silence this while I can. Instead of Cult Master, unfortunately.
I must safeguard the land.
Okay, 1/1 kills it. This dies to the weapon. So I think I'll play this and use the imp.
Ready to ride.
Is our protector then?
Not on my
Yeah.
watch.
Almost mind control tech. Almost. Alright, well, here I'll 4/6 taunt.
Shall I strike?
Because I can also hero power this thing. I take 2 more damage, but...
Reporting for duty.
Mind control tech. 50% chance to get a 1/1, but it's better than nothing. Yes. Let's see. I'll have 5 mana remaining though. Hero powers 2, leaves me with 3. It's awkward. So probably Cult Master Squire. Although he'll consecrate. That's not bad.
For the wild.
The light protects me.
Look at this. The Priestess of Elun's heal is actually going to be useful. There's consecrate.
I've got a huge car.
Alright. Looks like champion, so this can kill that. And then hero power.
Behold the might of Storm. For the wild.
Okay, so 3 cards to my 7. But my hand is extremely strong.
Justice. Not on my watch.
It's not bad. So hero power, take 5, break the shield, this kills it. I have 8 mana. Not much to do. Probably rather do a Sunwalker than a Druid. Well, I could charge the Druid with a Claw of that, actually. That's not a bad idea, since he only has 2 cards.
For the wild. Where shall I strike?
And
Time waits for no
I
one.
think I'll use this for a pseudo heal. Because I don't know when else I'm going to use it. And it's perfect for my mana.
Reporting for duty.
I'm glad I did that.
The victory.
Sweet. You had enough of that. So there we go. That was exactly how I expected this deck to play out, and I'm glad it did. Very slow, but trying to get in that late game.